We are now in the revision part of Unit 4. So in this revision part of Unit 4, first we will discuss about what was redundancy. After that, uh, we will talk about regarding the decomposition and the functional decomposition, and followed by the functional dependencies, etc. So the content what we take up will be the problems caused by redundancy, decomposition, functional dependency, and reasoning about functional dependencies, etc. So, in a nutshell, when we take up the other word of a redundancy, we are going to call that one as duplicate data. So, as far as definition is going to be take up, it is a method of storing the same information more than once in a database. So when we are going to store the same information more than once in a database, we mean to say that as a redundant value, as a duplicate value. So now when we talk about normalization, when we talk about database integrity and consistency, if such words has to be fitted to a database, definitely the redundancy has to be eliminated. So why? Because redundant store, it is going to cause a lot of relational problems that is associated with the relational schemes, and there may be an event to failure of the hard disk, or an event where loss of information is going to happen. So that is why we say that uh, redundancy should not be existed in a database. Now we talked that redundant storage, it is giving up duplicate values, and while making up this redundancy, we have some bugs, we have some troubleshooting that needs to be fixed out. So those, it can happen one at an insert, another at a delete, and third at an update. So while making an insert, there may be some problems. While making a delete, there may be some problems, and while updating, there may be some problems, etc. So such is where these anomalies are going to happen. So the main schema, why we talk about this redundancy, was that uh, uh, how we can eliminate up this redundancy will be in form of decomposition. A large set of table can be divided into two or more based on some dependency, based on some criteria. We are going to call such a term here as decomposition. So why we do that? The reason was to eliminate the redundancy value, to eliminate the redundancy value, and that it is going to happen with the functional dependencies, and it is going to happen with the functional dependencies. So if how exactly, or the way or an approach where functional dependencies are done, that will be taken up now. So as we were mentioning that there is some repetition of data, that repetition of data we call it as redundant storage, that it is going to be taken up. Next one was three anomalies has to be discussed. One, it is an update anomaly. Two, we call it as insert. Three, we are going to call it as a delete anomaly. So when we say it is an update anomaly, so we can say that if one copy among repeated data is updated, and inconsistency is created unless all copies of the same are similarly updated. So it is not that we can say no partial execution. So when we say that we update something, whoever in the database, whoever rows are there in a database, all those need to be updated. So for that, it says that if it is not happening, definitely we can say an inconsistency is going to be raised, and this inconsistency, it is going to see that the update will not happen. So where we call it as an update anomaly. So when we make a update operation, it should affect all the pertaining data elements in the database. It is not that at some point of time database updates and another point of time database will not update. So such things shouldn't be there. So next comes the insert anomaly. So when we are going to call it as an insert anomaly, so um, it may not be possible to insert or store certain information unless uh, some waste information is going to be stored. So you need to insert some data, that is in a relation I want to insert data x comma y, but x, y, z, w. So these are also coming into the picture. So if I want to insert x and y, z and w, they are the waste attributes, and these waste attributes are also going to come and get inserted, which we don't feel that it is necessary for our relation, but still we have to procure one insert. So such is where this insert anomaly is going to rise up. Third thing was to have a delete anomaly. So when we talk about this delete anomaly, similarly, if I want to delete some x, y, now some, unless some useful information is also lost, is also deleted, then we are going to say a delete anomaly is going to happen. So one copy is updated and another copy is not updated, we say it is a partial update, and such partial updates will not be encouraged. We say it is an update anomaly. We want to include x and y, but still z and w are also going to insert. So we say it is an insert anomaly. Third thing was that I want to include x and y, and now I want to delete x and y, but the dependents on the x and y are also going to be deleted. They are also going to be lost. So such way we are going to call here as a delete anomaly. So now here is an example what we can take up. In such the example we can illustrate the insert, update and delete. So we have a table here, that is employee hours, with the attributes employee number, employee name, salary, rating, hourly wages and hourly worked. So these are the few attributes which are going to be existed into the hourly employees table. So now let us have a glimpse here. We have a 901, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So why we were getting in this model? Because we made it as a unique item and we call it as some not null item. We made it as some unique item and then we made it as a not null item. So next issue was that we have some names that was um, um, Sheshu, Ganesh, Mani, and Lakshmi. Of course, they do have redundancy we can encourage, but they can be uniquely pointed out, right? 903 Ganesh is different and 902 Ganesh is different. 902 Ganesh is different and 903 Ganesh is different because names may be common, but the ID what we are going to call it up, that it is going to be different, so that can be encouraged. Now here is what we need to take up. So when rating was 8, hourly wages was 10. When rating was 5, hourly wages was 7. So now rating and wages, these two items, they are interdependent. These two items, they are going to be interdependent. So why interdependent? Because if the rating is 8, then wages will always be 10. If the rating is 5, then wages is always being 7. So it is very consistent that if it is 8, it is 10. If it is 5, it is 7. So in this model, everything is going to be fixed. So we have some attributes, the fields, that is rating and hourly wages. So they are going to show up a relation that they are interdependent. So such interdependencies can be separated. Such interdependencies can be separated. Suppose if I am going to delete 8, if I am going to delete 8, then 10 has to be deleted. Deleted anomaly. If I need to insert 8, then again I need to insert 10. Insert anomaly. If I am going to update 8, automatically 10 is also going to be updated. That means when 8 is updated, when 8 is inserted, when 8 is deleted, when 8 is updated. So at any point of time, the interdependent value is going to have its repeated content because it is an interdependent issue here. So now let us talk each and every anomaly what we situated towards this table here. So you can see that the rating 8, it is going to be corresponding to 10 and it is going to repeat for 3 times. So that was the anomaly of storage. So repeated data, repeated issue has been taken up. So we call here as a redundancy item. We call that one as a redundancy item. So first one, let us talk about this update anomaly. So if we are going to update the first tuple, immediately if we do not change the second and the last tuple, there will be some issue, right? So because 8 we have talking up, 8 is having a interdependent value called as 10. So if I am going to update 8, then definitely the interdependent value 10 also has to be updated. If not, there will be a flaw. Why there will be a flaw? Because Lakshmi's record is having 8 and 10, and similarly we have Ganesh record which is also some 8 and 10. So how can we manage that? For one record I can put 8 and 10, another record I cannot keep 8 and 12 or 8 and 15, because 8 and 10, that is rating and wages, they are interdependent on one another. If such a scenario is going to be prompted, then the update anomaly is going to have been not met. Next one, let us talk about the insert anomaly. So in insert anomaly, if we have to insert a new tuple for an employee, we should know both the values of the rating as well as hourly wages. So here I am going to say that I want to insert 4. I want to insert 4 as a rating. Then definitely I have to know what is the hourly wages for 4. Similarly, if I want to insert 9, then definitely I should know what is the hourly wages for 9. That means as one value is going to have a number, that the dependent value is also has to be known. So such is what this insert anomaly is going to talk about. The third thing we are going to call here was the delete anomaly. So in delete anomaly, if we delete all the tuples with the rating, if we are going to delete all the tuples with a given rating, that is, if we delete the tuples of Ganesh and Mani, then we will lose the relationship between rating and hourly wages. So let us see this again. So what is Ganesh and what is Mani's record? So if I am going to delete this Mani's record, and if I am going to delete this Ganesh record, so 8 and 10 is lost, then Sheshu and Lakshmi's record, they don't know what the values they have to give up. And similarly, if I'm going to move this uh, 5 and 7, which is in Manish record, then another Ganesh record also, we don't know what are the values which is dependent towards rating and wages. So these are the three highlighted anomalies which are going to be taken towards redundancy, storage, etc. So as there are some troubleshooting, as there are some bugs, now we need to see that the schema is going to be refined. We need to see that the schema is going to be refined in order to give one solution. In order to give one solution. So that is, it is going to replace. So it is going to replace update, insert, and delete. It is going to replace update, insert, and delete. So how is it possible? It is possible with a value called as a decomposition. It is possible with a word called here as a decomposition. So now let us check the definition part of the word called as a decomposition. So the process of breaking the larger relations into smaller, we are going to call that one as decomposition. So we have a larger table with set of some 8 or 9 tuples, 8 or 9 this one attributes. Now instead of having 8 to 9 attributes in a data table, let us divide this into some 4 or 5, let's from 6 or 3. In this way, if you are going to model it, in this way, if you are going to divide it into 2 parts, then we can say that is the word we call here as a decomposition. So the process of breaking the larger relations into smaller relations, larger relations into smaller relations, we are going to call that one as a decomposition. So coming to this content here, so a decomposition, we are going to have, it's a relational schema. So what it is going to see that it is the relation schema, we can migrate it to 2 or more schemas. So obviously those 2 schemas, they will be the subset of the main schema. So now you can see here how we are making a decomposition to the main table, how we are going to decompose to the main table. So the main table, you can see it is hourly employees. It has number, name, salary, rating, and hourly wages, followed by hourly work. Now what we are talking about insert, update, and delete was that rating and hourly wages, they are interdependent to each other. As they are interdependent to each other, why to put them in a same table? Why should we put it in a table which is interrelated issue? Let us divide it, let us decompose it. So where we can say this hourly table 1, we are going to call it as hourly employees. Table 2, we are going to call it as wages here. So in the wages, we have the interrelated attributes, that is rating and hourly wages. Now if I am going to have 9 and if I am going to have some 8 and 10, if I am going to have 9 and 12. Now, if this is the existing. Suppose if I want to make 4 and 2, if I mark to make 5 and 3, now it will not hurt the table which is the previous content, right? So the earlier table what it is there, that table is not going to be bifurcated, that table will not be affected. Only the new table is going to be prompted up with the new entries. So it will not affect the main table, and unnecessary attributes which are going to be seen up, those unnecessary attributes are not going to be taken to the main table. So that was the advantage of why we are going to use the word call here as a decomposition. So we can openly include wages table, then update the rating, then update the wages. In this way, we can do it. There is no significance that the main table will be spoiled, the main table will have duplicate values, the main table will have an insert anomaly, main table can be free up from the delete anomaly. So that is the reason why we are decomposing the main table into table 1 and table 2. So this was the instance what I was talking about. So earlier we have rating, earlier we have hourly wages in the main table, but as of now, instead of both the values, we are going to have only the rating. We are going to have only the rating, and the interdependent issues what we are going to do, that we are going to put it into the table 2. In table 1, we are going to have only the rating, and in table 2 whatever values are there, those values can be taken up. So if I am going to put 9 here, then I can put 9 in the wages table. There is no need for us that if I am going to update table 2, that is hourly day, hourly day, content, so it will not affect the main table, that is so when we are going to say that the main table, it is divided into two parts, that one we call it as table 1 and table 2. So at this significance point of time, now you can see rating was 5, rating is related to wages, and 8 is related to wages at 10. Now you can see here, if I make rating as 4 and then I give 5, I give rating as 9 and hourly wages as 9. These two will not affect table 1. Therefore, table 1, no insert anomaly. So that is why we are going to bring up the decomposition here. Now, how can I make a relationship here, that I have rating at one instance, I have rating at another instance. Now I can use a foreign key relationship, and thereby I can make a relation establishment between table 1 and table 2. Now, how are the decompositions taken up? The decompositions which are going to be taken up, there are a lot of ways decompositions are going to be taken up. One, we are going to call it as a functional dependency. We have functional dependency, we have multivalue dependency, trivial dependency, non-trivial dependency, multivalued dependency, so fully functional dependency. So these are 4 to 5 models are existing to showcase how the attributes are related to one another, what will be the prime item, what will be the non-prime item, what will be the primary key, and what should not be the non-primary keys. So in this way, we have some set of rules and set of guidelines to be taken up. For that, we are going to bring up this functional dependencies. For that, we are going to bring up this functional dependency. Holistically, when we are going to call it as a functional dependency. It is going to be a relationship that exists between two attributes. It is going to be a relationship between two attributes. That is, I am going to have X, I am going to have Y. So there should be a relationship between attribute X and there should be a relationship between attribute Y. So then how Y is purely dependent on X, that means now I can say X is going to be a primary key, and if I'm going to have X is a primary key, then I can say Y, Z, W. So these are all called as non-key items. So which it is going to be unique and which it is going to be not null. So such items we are going to call here as a primary key item, and the rest of the things in the relation in the table, so those they are not going to be the primary keys, but still the keys, they have their existence, they have their importance. So for that we say here the word as non-key attributes. We are going to call them as a non-key attributes. So that is what we are going to bring up at this point of time. So now we have this X to Y. So we have related this one as X to Y. So now what is X to Y? So in this X to Y, what we are going to mention up was that which is in the left hand side of a relation, that is X to Y. So now I can see this X to Y. So the left side of a relation, that is X, we call it as a determinant. We call that item as a determinant item, and the right side item we are going to call it as a dependent item. So the left side item we are going to call it as a determinant item, and the right side of this equation we are going to call it as a dependent items. So what should be in the left side and what should be in the right side? So the primary key items, the main key items, what we are telling that those we call here as X, and that X we are going to say it is in the left hand side, we call it as a determinant. And coming to the Y, we call them as a dependent items. That is, all non-key items whatever are there, so those non-key items, they are purely dependent on the primary key. Therefore we say such attribute here as a dependents. So now let us see this employee table here. In this employee table, we have employee identifier, employee name, and employee address. So every employee, he has his own unique identity code. So that is what we are going to prompt it up. And this employee ID is going to be assumed in the left hand side. Now we call this one as determinant, and employee name we are going to call it as dependent. So employee ID we are going to say it is a determinant, because all the non-key items which are going to be there, that is employee name, employee address, so these elements, they are purely dependent on the employee ID. Therefore we call those two items as a dependents. So now what is functional dependency was that this employee name and employee address, they are functionally dependent on employee ID. So that is the conclusion, or that was the inference what we have to bring it at this situation. Since employee ID is going to be the primary key and employee name and employee address are non-key items, so these two non-key items are going to be dependents on the determinant, and determinant is the primary key. Therefore employee name and employee address, they are functionally dependent on the employee ID. So that is what we get the first simplification towards the functional dependencies. Now coming to the next word, here is a trivial functional dependencies. Coming to the first word, we are going to call as trivial functional dependency. So if we do have a self relation, if we are going to have a self relation, then we call that such set of functional dependency as a trivial functional dependency. So I'm going to draw a graph here. So I have three edges, vertices. Now I can say A to A, I'm going to give one functional dependency. B to B, again I'm going to give a circular loop here. So A to A is one type of functional dependency. B to B is also called as one self loop, right? Because you started at B, again you ended at B. So you made a loop, you made a cycle there. So having a cycle, we say such issue, such dependency, that is A is dependent on itself, B is dependent on itself, it is not dependent on other attributes to form a relation. If such is the values are going to be taken up, we call such entities here as a trivial functional dependencies. We call them as trivial functional dependencies. So now you are going to see that the definition A to B has a trivial functional dependency if B is a subset of A. So now you can see this. I'm going to have A. I put this as 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to bring B is equals to 1, 2. Now can we say is B is a subset of A? Is B subset of A? Now the answer is yes. Now if B is going to be the subset of A, then definitely one more property which it is going to show up will be a triviality. So now coming to this example, let us check up this example here. Now we have a table. In this table, we do have some two columns. One we are going to call it as an employee ID. Another we are going to call it as an employee name. So now you can see that both employee ID and employee name, they are dependent on employee ID. Okay. Now it is a functional dependency, right? Now put this into diagram. A, B. Now I'm going to say A comma B is dependent on A. What is this A to A? Isn't it not a self loop? So isn't it not a self loop? I'm going to draw the line this at one side I put A, another side I'm going to put B. What did you mean? Employee ID to employee ID, you made an implication. So if you are going to make an implication that employee ID to employee ID is there, then I put a self loop here, that is A to A is available. So giving A to A, making a self loop there, we call that entity as a trivial functional dependencies. Now that is the word what I was talking about. Now employee ID is going to be the subset of employee ID and employee name, and employee ID is a subset of employee name, and similarly employee ID to employee ID and employee name to employee name. So these are some of the trivial functional dependencies which are going to happen. Okay. Now let us check another types of functional dependencies. So the other type of functional, fully functional, trivial, non-trivial, so which is not meeting the criteria, we call it as non-functional dependencies. So which is purely based on the primary key, we call it as a fully functional dependencies. So let us check with the fourth word that we call here as a multi-valued dependencies. Now we are going to bring up here the multi-valued dependencies. So in this situation, multiple independent multi-valued attributes in a single row. So multi-valued dependencies occurs in a situation where there are multiple independent multi-valued attributes in a single row. So let us understand the definition first with some simple example. Thereby we can have a small example to illustrate this. Multiple independent, this is one word. Next one, multi-valued attributes in a single table, right? Multiple independent. So that means I have attributes. One attribute is not going to be related to another attribute, but still the attributes are fitting there. So there are multiple independent attributes. Okay, next one, multi-valued attributes. So every value, every attribute does have some multiple values. That means if I am going to give you grade, if I am going to give a grade, now what will be the multiple values in it? I have A grade, B grade, C grade, D grade. So multiple values are going to be fused. Okay, fine. So we say multi-value. Now you got that word. What is multi-value? Then multiple independent. So when I'm going to say multiple independence, I give a word called as color. Then I give a word called as price. So color, price, I don't have any relationship, but still color and price, we are going to put it in the same table. So color is independent, price is independent. So color dealing with some RGB values, price dealing up with some money, but still we are fitting color as an attribute, price as an attribute in a same table. So color is different, price is different, but still we are going to put those two in a table. So multiple independent. Again, if I'm going to take up a color, I can say red, green, blue, yellow. So multiple values are fitted to that attribute. So now I do have a table where the table is going to support multiple independent multi-valued attributes. All those are going to fit in a single table. Then such tables are used to derive the multi-valued dependencies. So in order to derive the multi-valued dependency, the first and foremost constraint was in a single table, we do expect multiple independent multi-valued attributes. So that was the first thing. Now, let us check this example here. Let us see an example here. So we have a table. We have a table here. So in this table, we have car model, car model. So in this car model, we have manufacturing year and we have color here. So we have manufacturing year followed by the color. Is color dependent on manufacturing year? No, but car model is dependent on the manufacturing year, right? So I can say manufacturing year dependent on car model. I can say color dependent on car model, but we have to write but case. So, but manufacturing year and color are not related. So this was the key takeaway from this slide. So if I want to purchase a car, now I look up at its model, I look up when it was created, what was the color of the car. So I do get some attributes, and between that multiple attributes I make a relation. Okay, fine. So in order to get a car model, I have car manufacturing year, I need to look into car color. So I will get these attributes. But is there any relationship between year? Is there any relationship between color? Isn't it not? So it is too fascinating that 1, 2, 3, 4 colored by red, green, blue to be related. There is no meaning there. But still, those two values are going to be put it into a single relation. But these two independent items, they are provoking to purchase a car. They are provoking to purchase a car model. So how flexibility this relation should be there. So such a type of dependency we are going to call here as a multi-valued dependency. So a car model, even though there are some independent variables, that is manufacturing year and color, both are not related to one another, but car model meets those two independent values. So if such a relation is going to bring up in a scenario, we call such items here as a multi-valued dependencies. So the next one was that we talked that trivial dependency is that when we am going to call it as a trivial dependency, now I can say A to B. Now B is going to be the subset of A. B is going to be the subset of A. But when we are going to call it as non-trivial, we can straight away say that it is a contra. It is a opposite to the trivial way, that B is not going to be the subset of A. That we can straight away tell that B is not going to be the subset of A. So we call that entities here as a non-trivial functional dependencies. So when I'm going to make an intersection, that is A intersection B, now the main agenda was it should not have any common values. Then we call that item as a non-trivial dependency. I give a set A is equals to 1 comma 2, and I give a set B is equals to 3 comma 4. I'm writing this here. So now you can see that when we make an intersection, there is no commonality among the set there. So if such a type of issues are going to be arised, then such dependency can be taken up, and that dependency is named as non-trivial functional dependencies. So what will be the advantages of functional dependency? So the main aim of the functional dependency was that to eliminate the duplicate values, and there should not be any repetitions in the databases. And why we are going to use this functional dependency, what will be the advantages, was that the quality of data happens in the database. In order to maintain the quality of data in the database, we are going to look up with the functional dependencies. And how are these functional dependencies managed? They are going to be managed with the constraints. What are constraints? We have primary key, we have foreign key, we have unique, we have not null, followed by domain, that is range, so assertions. So all these, they are going to be satisfied towards the constraint items. So the main thing was, in order to bring a good design to a database, definitely we should have functional dependencies. It can be a functional, it can be fully functional, it can be trivial, or it can be non-trivial, or it can be some multi-valid dependencies. So any type of dependencies to be maintained in a table, then only a good relational database design can happen. So that is why we are going to get the advantages of the functional dependencies. So in order to derive the functional dependencies, we do have some set of rules to be maintained. The very first rule, we are going to call it as a reflexive rule. Second one, we are going to call it as an augmentation rule. Third one, we should see that the transitivity rule. So when we talk about the functional dependencies, we need to understand about the reflexive rule, followed by the augmented rule, followed by the transitivity rule. So when I am going to call it as reflexive property, that is X is the subset, X is the set of attributes, and Y is the set of attributes. Y is going to be the subset of X, then X also holds the values. So X to Y and Y to X. So you do to see this one as a reflexive. Similarly, if I'm going to talk about some transitivity property, if X to Y is going to hold up, then mean to say if there is another relation which is provoking to Y to Z is going to hold up, then definitely there will be a relation with X to Z. So X to Z is going to be called as here as a transitivity dependency. So transitivity rule. So now rules was that there should not be any transitivity dependency when we talk about the third normal form. Augmentation rule should happen towards making up a functional dependency, and a reflexive property should maintain. So these are some of the rules which are going to happen towards functional dependencies. So in general, what will be the applications of a database? Yeah, it can be some railway management, it can be some library management, sectors with finance, with telecom, online shopping, etc. And who are the market vendors providing these databases? One, we have worked on Live SQL, which is taken up by the Oracle, and then in your projects, etc., you are working on MySQL, and if you are working with some Microsoft directly, so you say it is Microsoft SQL Server. And IBM DB2 is also one more a leading software which was giving up solutions from the first generation computers also. And SQLite, one of a database which can be used and compatible to the mobile. So these are some of the market vendors, Microsoft Access. So these are some of the market vendors who are going to support the different types of database applications. So let us have a quick summary. So we talked about what will be the root causes for the redundancy. Then we talked about insert, update, update and delete anomaly. And then we taken up an example and we solved how to eliminate insert, how to eliminate update, how to eliminate delete anomalies. So that is what we talked about a decomposition. And after decomposition, how the problems of decomposition has been taken up. Then we talked about functional dependency, fully functional, trivial, multi-valid dependencies, and the three basic rules which comes up towards the functional dependency. So these are all the today's learnings. So let's conclude our class for today. So I will stop up this presentation here. We have